The story Dead Mount Dead Place starts with a necromancer known as Corpse God brutally attacks the royal soldiers. As the soldiers have been defeated, the Corpse God converts them into magic, and he even makes a troop of undead. For the Corpse God, human's life is just a toy. Later, a hero called the Calamity Crusher appears. It's assigned to get rid of the Corpse God. His name is Shragwa. Learning the situation, the Corpse God launches his attack towards Shragwa, but is quickly blocked by Shragwa. It is a fierce battle between the Corpse God and the hero Shragwa. As the Corpse God cornered, he gathers all spirits in the world and converts them into a dragon. However, his attempt still ends up in failure. With the help of the royal soldiers, the hero Shragwa manages to kill the dragon in one strike. Seeing the intense fight, the soldiers doubt the hero can win the fight. One of them states that Shragwa cannot be killed by the Corpse God because he has faced death many times since he was a child, but he always miraculously survives. The Corpse God summons his undead troops, and at the same time, Shragwa uses his true power from his eyes. The Corpse God comments his power is called Evil Eye, the same thing as his power. The owner of the Evil Eye can see all the souls that have died. Furthermore, the one with the Evil Eye can usually only take two paths to dedicate their life to the church, just like what Shragwa does, or the second. They will become necromancers who play with spirits, just like the Corpse God does today. After the long battle, Shragwa finally finds the real form of the Corpse God, and by crushing the core of the Corpse God, it can be sure that the Corpse God is dead. Before continuing the fight, the Corpse God states that everyone with the evil eyes will feel glad to hear the wail of the dead people, because basically, they take the role of the Grim Reaper. The Corpse God launches a massive-scale magic that Shragwa can't detect its pattern. Leaving with no choice, Shragwa charges forward to kill him because the world will not be at peace as long as the Corpse God still exists. With the help of the royal soldiers, Shragwa finally defeats the Corpse God. Later, Shragwa doubts that he killed the Corpse God because the magic cast by the Corpse God before was not destructive magic but teleportation magic instead. The scene switches to a white-haired teenager. Surprisingly, the boy has a memory of the fight between Shragwa and the Corpse God. The boy is confused with unfamiliar surroundings and looks at his frail arms and his small hands. Moreover, the fact that he finds it difficult to speak. He checks on the ground only to find it doesn't have magic energy. He gets even more confused with the modern technology and buildings around him. Elsewhere, a mysterious man monitors him through a drone. He seems to be afraid to see the boy is still alive because he has made sure the boy named Shinoyama Polka is dead. It is revealed that the man was assigned to kill the boy. His mission is accomplished as Polka is wounded deeply on his neck. However, he can't believe that Polka is now alive. It is then revealed that the Corpse God has been reincarnated into Polka's body. Polka was dead and the Corpse God possessed his dead body. Surprisingly, the Corpse God feels glad to see the boy and everyone live peacefully because in the previous life, the Corpse God failed to make peace he dreamt of. Later, two cops arrive and approach Polka because they see a bloodstain on his neck. The cops ask Polka, but he doesn't understand their language. However, after reviewing his brain, Polka finally understands their language and finds out the real identity of his current body. When the cops try to call an ambulance, an unfamiliar girl appears and takes him away. Arriving in the alley, the girl introduces herself as Misaki. The memory of Misaki flashes in Polka's mind, showing how she smiles. The corpse assumes Misaki has a close relationship with Polka, and she may be his childhood friend. Misaki shakes him down to confirm he is alive. Apart from that, Polka thanks her for saving him from the police. However, Misaki then declares that she will kill him for a second time. It is then revealed that Polka's wound was caused by Misaki, who tried to kill him. Without magic in his body, Polka decides to run away, but Misaki easily finds him thanks to the mysterious man's help. Misaki attacks Polka, but Polka cannot match her speed. Polka keeps avoiding her attacks and they arrive in a dark room. Misaki explains the room was used to execute the gangsters. Misaki keeps attacking him and he gets hit on his leg, causing him unable to move. Misaki talks about the ghost that is rumored to exist in the room. Suddenly, Polka can see the souls of the Yakuza's victims around the room through his evil eye. Thanks to the evil eye, Polka slowly remembers the memories of the Corpse God. Doesn't want to make the same mistake again, and to protect the world's peace, Polka gets to release his true power to kill Misaki, because the one who has the right to play with someone's life is the Corpse God. Evil Eye, for those born with evil eye, can see the souls of dead people, and they can also control these souls. However, as a consequence, people who are born with the power of the evil eye are destined not to be able to live a peaceful life. Long ago, the Corpse God was sold by his parents to the kingdom and was assigned to the warfield as a necromancer. Due to his overwhelming power, he managed to flatten many kingdoms by himself. During the war, the Corpse God only wished to live peacefully, but the power of the evil eye didn't allow him to take the path he wanted. Since he didn't want to kill any more lives, he decided to go to a cave. Unexpectedly, he found several kids in the cave. The kids might be the victims of the war. The corpse god who felt guilty and wanted to live peacefully gave them supplies without them knowing it. The kids were happy to find the food almost every day. The corpse god hid himself from them because he was afraid that he might scare them due to his appearance. Later, the kids noticed someone purposely gave food to them, and they finally found the corpse god. Instead of being scared, the kids welcomed him happily and were grateful for the food. Since then, the corpse god and the kids coexisted, and due to his generosity, a woman fell in love with him. Unfortunately, the kingdom found their whereabouts and the soldiers murdered the small family, including the woman whom the corpse god loved. They believe that the kids have been infected by the corpse god, and they should kill all of them. Seeing his family wiped out, the corpse god enraged and killed the soldiers. After successfully wiping out the royal soldiers, the corpse god decided to isolate himself while studying teleportation and reincarnation magic. He was waiting for someone who could kill him until one day the corpse god encountered the hero Shragwa, and he was reincarnated into Shinoyama Polka. After attacking Misaki, the corpse god in Polka's body is shocked to find she is killed in one strike. Learning he doesn't know anything about this world, he tries to find a way to revive Misaki to learn of the human world. Moreover, if he is found murdering someone, the police will after him and he cannot live a peaceful life. At the same time, the mysterious man watches Polka through his drone. The man watches in fear, witnessing Polka's power, and sends the footage to his boss, Clarissa. Meanwhile, in her death, Misaki has a dream of her past. Back then, Misaki was an ordinary girl with a bright smile until one day she witnessed someone murder her parents in front of her. Misaki had a mental breakdown and was determined to take revenge. Moreover, she saw a murderer torture his victim before he killed him. Since then, Misaki started to look for the culprit to avenge her parents and fulfill her desire. One day, she found the murderer and she tortured him before she finally killed him. Her name became noticeable in the Assassin's Forum, known as a psycho murderer who always put her smile while playing with her victim. Because her revenge had been accomplished, she took one more mission to test if she could kill a good person. Then she got a mission to kill Shinoyama Polka, a teenager without a criminal record. She started her mission and killed the teen easily without feeling guilty. She felt that the world wouldn't have been fine if she was still alive, thus she decided to commit suicide. Right before she ended her life, she got a call from someone telling her that her target was alive. Hearing that, Misaki rushed to find Polka to kill him once again. However, she didn't expect that she would be killed in her attempt, and she found Polka this time was different than Polka before. Returning to the present, Polka wants to know about the human world, and he tries to revive Misaki with resurrection magic. At the same time, Clarissa, as the leader of the organization, sets off to meet Polka and Misaki. They point their guns at Polka, who has prepared a defensive magic barrier. Polka tells them not to fight him because humans are weak. Finally, Polka succeeds in bringing Misaki back to life. Misaki, who has been resurrected, is shocked to find herself alive. Polka tells her that she is not alive, but she becomes an undead instead. She finds her body is cold, indicating that she is dead. Moments later, Clarissa is informed about a fire that broke out in an orphanage building. The man also sends the video footage to her. Curious, Polka watches the video and uses his skeleton eye to scan the situation. He finds out several children are trapped in the burned building. Recalling his past, Polka wants to help the children. Clarissa notices the presence of someone else in Polka's body and orders the informer to show the way to the orphanage. Polka rushes to head to the orphanage and enters the building. Unbeknownst to him, a girl sees his skeleton figure. Using his evil eye, Polka sees the souls of the deceased in the building. He then summons the skeleton and orders the souls to possess the skeleton so that it can help the children. Thanks to the souls' help, the children are safely evacuated. Polka then tells Clarissa about his identity as the corpse god who can control the dead people's souls. Clarissa asks him his intention, to which he replies that he wants to live peacefully and wants to know more about the human world. Clarissa then tells him she will grant his wish if he is willing to join her organization. Clarissa will put him with Misaki and the mysterious man named Karuya. After the heroic action in the orphanage building, the scene of a skeleton rescuing the children is spread on social media. Instead of being frightened, Misaki feels her heartbeat increase. They will send a letter to Polka's real family as if he is still alive and he is out for a vacation so that they won't worry about him. Initially, Karuya suggests that Polka returns to his home, but the corpse god doesn't have memories of Polka's family. He only obtains strong and repeated memories from Polka, such as the language in Misaki when she tried to kill him. Thus, the option of coming back cannot be done because he doesn't know Polka's parents' names and memories about them. Apart from that, the corpse god is looking for the similarities and differences between the two worlds. He finds that the two worlds have similar creatures, and he finds the only significant difference is that Geldwood soldiers don't exist in this world. In his past life, Geldwood soldiers wiped out his small family and killed him. Polka then tells the others about his real identity as the corpse god and that he can control humans' lives like a toy. Karuya is scared to hear that, while Misaki likes Polka even more. When Polka is asked if he's fine being in the same place with Misaki who killed him, he says he is okay as the real Polka has forgiven her. It is revealed that Polka's soul is possessed by the drone. The corpse god intends to find out the identity of who hired Misaki to kill Polka. He questioned Clarissa about that, but she didn't reveal it to keep the secrecy of her client. In return, Polka is allowed to live in the torture building where many souls exist. Polka decides to find a job to earn money. Misaki suggests that he becomes an assassin like herself. Just then, a man comes to see Misaki. He says an assassin group led by Zaki has started their action. He is afraid that they may be after him. Zaki is the one whom Misaki killed. At first, Misaki refuses to help him, but Polka suddenly comes and agrees to help the man. Seeing that, Misaki immediately changes her mind. That night, they head to an old building that was instructed by the man earlier. However, Misaki is suddenly attacked by a group of assassins. The fight starts and Misaki defeats all the hitmen easily before the man shoots her from behind. It turns out the man is one of the hitmen and he purposely ambushed her to avenge Zaki's death. Seeing Misaki is killed, Polka immediately activates his evil eye and Misaki is revived. It turns out Misaki will regenerate herself and is unable to die because she is actually dead. Karuya asks Polka if he knows the trap from the beginning. Polka says he doesn't know that because he didn't accept the man's request. Instead, he accepted the request from the souls. Polka then attacks the men, releasing two great skeletal hands that erupt from the earth and mold the remaining men into a human knot. Seeing the assassins defeated, the souls now can rest in peace. Polka explains Misaki is now getting stronger both in physics and endurance. Her saliva can heal the wound, her bite can temporarily immobilize her target, and if she is fatally injured, she only needs to eat raw meat to regenerate her body. Hearing that, Misaki immediately tries to kiss Karuya, but he is only interested in two-dimension girls. The corpse god thinks human life is a toy and he wants to take good care of it. Hearing that, Karuya thinks that the corpse god is a good person, and he and Misaki perhaps are the ones who are bad. On the other hand, the remaining hitmen want to take revenge on Polka for killing their friends. As they are about to pick up the weapon, a scream is heard and there are blood stains everywhere. A figure named Lemming, a mummy-formed creature, suddenly appears. Polka looks at the magazine and finds out there are several mythical creatures in the human world. Polka comments that as long as they have enough mana, Polka can alter Misaki into a vampire. Elsewhere, Karuya reports to Clarissa about what Polka and Misaki are doing. Just then, Clarissa receives a phone call from a client who wants Polka's death. However, because she and Polka are on the same side, Clarissa hangs up the phone immediately. On the other hand, a man in a black tee apologizes to the guards in a bar. The man didn't know that a bottle of beer costs 60,000 yen. At the same time, a yellow-haired man wants to see Clarissa. The man complains that beer shops around the area charge unreasonable prices and could even be said to be committing fraud. The man in a black tee earlier is a victim of the beer shop. The man can't take any longer and beats the guards. Meanwhile, the yellow-haired man gets a call, informing him about a peculiar incident in a building. It turns out to be the Zaki's hitmen who were previously beaten by Polka. Their Lemmings shatters the human knot with a single punch. Unfortunately, the officers come and Lemmings escapes. In the morning, the policemen evacuate the men and investigate the incident. Not long after that, two mysterious men are heading to the scene. It is revealed that the man in a black tee and the yellow-haired man are the policemen who are investigating supernatural things. They have been investigating Lemmings, the Grim Reaper, the skeleton, and fire-breathing bug, indicating there are supernatural beings besides Polka the corpse god. After investigating the human knot incident, the policemen discuss the supernatural beings. So far, Special Division Unit has cleared a case and captured the perpetrators such as the Gator Sisters, the Barber, Riddle, the Grocer, the Poisoner, Donner, and the Phantom Solitaire. However, there are three more troublemakers who exist in the city, such as the Grim Reaper, the fire-breathing bug, and Lemmings. Tsubaki believes his unit can handle them. On the other hand, Polka decides to transfer Polka's soul from Takumi's drone to a stuffed shark toy. Karuya is glad to get his drone back. Basically, the corpse god's power will be restored by itself, but due to the lack of mana in the human world, the corpse god has to find a place with a lot of souls so that as a necromancer he can alter the negative energy into mana. In the past life, gemstones can be used to store mana. Thus, as long as the corpse god has a lot of gemstones, he can have a large sum of mana stocks which will give him overwhelming power. Corpse God and Misaki visit a jewelry store and Corpse God quickly becomes disheartened from seeing the high prices, saying how easy it was to get one's hands on these gems back in his world. They both exit the jewelry store but end up running into a race. A race stops as he spots Karuya's drone. He runs past Corpse God and Misaki and performs a very high jump. effortlessly snatching the drone out of the air. Erase turns to Corpse God and Misaki and tells them not to mind him and pretend that they didn't see it. Misaki tells Corpse God that Erase is a dangerous man, and if he reveals his true power, he won't leave peacefully because Erase will be after him. However, the Corpse God talks to Erase, telling him the drone belongs to his friend. Unknowingly, he reveals that Misaki and Corpse God are Karuya's accomplices. Erase approaches the Corpse God or Polka and tells him not to be friends with Karuya because he is trash. He explains that Karuya betrayed his friends to save himself. Back then, Karuya was an informant of a gangster in Shinjuku. Unfortunately, the gangsters encountered Erase and they were wiped out by the police officers, leaving Karuya alone, who didn't want to end up being killed. Karuya gave all the information he knew about the other gangsters. Hearing that, Corpse God tells Erase that he is the one who has the right to decide who he wants to be friends with, making Erase tremble with fear when he sees the radiance of Corpse God's power. However, Erase is excited, thinking the teenager in front of him holds such great power he may be dangerous. Karuya watches what is going on and he gives Erase a phone call to distract him from Misaki and Polka. When he is off guard, Misaki kicks him hard and sends him flying. Erase notices that the kick is not a kick from an ordinary girl. Unfortunately, as Erase tries to catch them, they have already disappeared from his sight. In their base, Karuya confirms the rumors about him. He explains he will sell the information if his life is threatened. Corpse God comments that his friend's life is worth more than the information or his identity as the Corpse God. In the past life, there is a magic which is able to reveal a secret from someone. Elsewhere, Tsubaki comes to the bar to meet Clarissa. He asks Clarissa if she is involved in the fire incidents. He reveals people saw a drone in the scene, and the drone also was spotted in a human-not incident. However, Clarissa refuses to answer him as he doesn't have a formal letter to interrogate her. In the police station, Erase asks his unit to investigate the shoe print on his belly. The officer tells him that a similar shoe print was seen in the human-not incident yesterday afternoon. Erase gets excited, recalling Lemming's mark and the mysterious girl's mark on the scene. Later, Erase sends a message to Tsubaki to find Misaki and Corpse God. Unbeknownst to him, Lemming is standing in a corner to look for the picture of Misaki's shoe print. It is explained that many special units are scared when dealing with lemmings because they can hide themselves and brutally attack their opponent. Furthermore, lemmings are immune to guns. Elsewhere, after running away from Erase, Misaki and Corpse God head to Clarissa's bar. At the same time, Tsubaki is in the bar and seeing teenagers in the bar, he reprimands them. Right after that, he receives a message from Erase telling him to look for a mysterious girl and a white-haired teenager. Coincidentally, their features are similar to Misaki and Corpse God. So that they can't escape, Tsubaki treats them to drink as much as they want. When the Corpse God drinks his juice, he feels happy because it is the first time he drinks such a delicious drink. However, Karuya suddenly tells them that Erase and the special unit are heading to their location. Learning the situation, Clarissa allows them in rather than have her underlings beaten. Tsubaki and Erase are about to question Misaki and Corpse God when suddenly the light goes out. Using his evil eye, the Corpse God tells Misaki to run away. Just then, Clarissa spots Lemmings hanging from the chandelier. It turns out Lemmings is the one who turned off the electricity. Everyone looks stunned to see Lemmings come. Erase has a special unit to charge against Lemmings, but they are easily defeated. Unexpectedly, Lemming turns to Misaki and kidnaps her. The Corpse God wants to activate his power but changes his mind because the special unit is still there. He's afraid that they will recognize his real identity and he can't live peacefully. However, the Corpse God unconsciously uses his magic to save Misaki. He recalls his master's words and apologizes to him for being naive and caring about other people. Clarissa immediately blows out the candle so that the police cannot see Corpse God's magic. The fight between Lemmings and Corpse God happens and Lemmings seems to outperform Corpse God. He manages to block all the attacks directed at him with ease. Lemmings approaches Misaki and asks her about her and Polka's identity. At first, Misaki refuses to answer him but immediately answers after seeing a murdering aura from Lemmings. Misaki answers his questions and tries to bite him. Corpse God realizes that Misaki is trying to immobilize Lemmings with her poison. Unfortunately, her bite cannot penetrate his bandage, so she uses the fork instead. Right after Lemmings is infected with her saliva, he suddenly loses his strength and cannot do anything. Corpse God immediately reveals his real identity using the power of the negative energy around Lemmings and kills him. Polka and Misaki tell Karuya what happened. Karuya exclaims that they survived an encounter with one of Shinjuku's urban legends. Corpse God apologizes to Misaki that she had to tell her secret to save him. She kindly replies that she evened the score between herself and Corpse God since Corpse God had saved her from Lemmings. Thus, Corpse God is determined to gather strength to protect his friend. Corpse God remembers how his necromancy mentor encouraged him to help someone if he wanted to, no matter how long he had known that person. Elsewhere, a man is seen waiting for Lemming's presence. Lemmings appears and tells him that Lemmings with the codename Jimba are killed. The man asks who killed Jimba, and Lemmings answers it is Shinoyama Polka. Learning that Polka is alive, his expression suddenly changes. It is revealed that the man is Shinoyama Takeru, a family of Shinoyama Polka. Takeru is also the person who hired Misaki to kill Polka. Furthermore, it is learned that there is more than one Lemmings. Lemmings who were killed by Polka is called Jimba, while the current Lemmings is Nezu. Returning to Corpse God, he intends to earn much money with his necromancer skill. He puts his sane spirit named Hosoroji into Misaki's pencil. Hosoroji suggests that Corpse God become a fortune teller, supported by Kuruya, helps him in providing information and his necromancer ability. Kuruya is in charge of finding the background of their client, and Corpse God talks to the spirit. Hosoroji will take notes, and Misaki is in charge of attracting attention. Corpse God immediately sets to dividing it between himself, Misaki, Takumi, the real Polka, and Hosoroji. Where Misaki and Takumi are gratified, Polka rejects his share even when Corpse God tries to frame the money as compensation for borrowing Polka's body. Kuruya says Polka has probably seen enough money in his life. Hearing the news about Polka being a fortune teller, two kids come to their shop. They are Shinoyama Kazuki and Shinoyama Shizuki, the real Polka's niece and nephew. Since the Corpse God has no memory of the original Polka, he tries to trick the kids, claiming to be the Corpse God instead of Shinoyama Polka. The kids state they want to see Polka's ability as a fortune teller. Unfortunately, the shop opens at 10 o'clock in the morning. Thus, Kuruya tells the kids to leave. Kazuki refuses to leave, and the Corpse God stops the arguments, saying that they will have a bright future and that he will protect them. It turns out Corpse God doesn't talk to the kids, but to a spirit around the kids who asks the Corpse God to save them. After the twins, bodyguards, and spirit leave, Corpse God watches them through the window and opines that the spirit does not seem evil. Instead, she has clung to a desire to protect the twins. Corpse God admits the children did remind him of other children who had attempted to act tough, recalling his found family in the cave. Kuruya then explains that Shinoyama is a wealthy family who has their own bank and acquired its fortune and assets in the trillions. Polka is the second son of Patriarch Rosen Shinoyama, the head of the Shinoyama family. Considering that he is no longer young and therefore Polka would be entitled to part of the inheritance should anything happen to Rosen. After all, it is no wonder that someone wants Polka dead. Since the Corpse God said he would come to the real Polka's house, it means he will head to a place where the enemy is. Perhaps it's not just Takeru who wants to kill Polka, but there are also other relatives who have the same intention. On the way home, Kazuki thinks the current Polka is somehow different from the Polka he knew. He was a timid and naive person, but now he looks brave. On the other hand, Takeru finds out that Kazuki and Shizuki have met Polka. Before going to Shinoyama's mansion, Kuruya explains the family genealogy. The head of the family is Rosen, who has two wives. The first wife gave birth to a child named Gaku, and the second wife gave birth to a child named Polka. Gaku is Takeru's father. Hosoroji explains Takeru works in the security division of the Shinoyama family, in charge of getting rid of scandals and eliminating the troublemakers. The other family member is Suzuka, who turns out to be the spirit who asked the Corpse God to protect Kazuki and Shizuki. In Shinoyama's mansion, Kazuki and Shizuki get ready to welcome Polka. Arriving there, Polka and Misaki are welcomed by the twins. Kazuki and Shizuki are happy that Polka really came home. Later, Takeru arrives and welcomes Polka. Takeru is Lemming's boss. Misaki then introduces herself. Upstairs, someone watches them secretly through the window. They all gather and Misaki tells them she is the daughter of an infamous steel company owner. Later, Kiri, Takeru's wife, introduces herself, followed by Sayo and one of their relatives, Rosen's nephew-in-law. After that, Rosen arrives and the man attempts to broach the topic of the company's work. However, he gets a cold answer from Rosen, who tells him to ask Gaku. The man feels irritated and leaves the room. Later, Rosen invites Polka to talk in private. Corpse God acted as Polka apologized to his father. Rosen feels relieved that he is alright and asks Polka to accompany him in the mansion's annex. Upon their arrival, Rosen asks Polka what happened to him. The Corpse God without hesitation tells him that he has a friend named Misaki and tells him about his friend's drone which was taken by the police and about his job as a fortune teller. He acts perfectly as Polka, but somehow Rosen notices the person in front of him is not Polka, his son. The sight of Rosen makes Corpse God suddenly remember his parents who sold him to the kingdom. Rosen then asks Corpse God if he is the real Polka and if Polka is still alive. Before Corpse God can answer him, he suddenly feels Kazuki and Shizuki are in danger. Remembering his promise to Suzuka's soul, Corpse God begs Rosen to allow him to leave and he will tell him everything later. When Corpse God leaves, a bodyguard hidden under the floorboards opines that Rosen should have killed the imposter, but Rosen admits he is not so heartless that he could kill someone with his son's face. At the same time, an audible explosion from the mansion's direction occurs, sending smoke billowing into the sky. 2 years ago, Suzuka comes across Shizuki consoling Kazuki, who tearfully explains that she dropped her purse her sister gifted somewhere in the woods. Suzuka goes to look for the purse and finds it despite the late hour. Just then, she hears the sound of nearby voices. It turns out to be her relative who is talking to someone claiming to be a fire-breathing bug. Unexpectedly, the fire-breathing bug has infiltrated the Shinoyama family for 2 years and taken several maids' faces for camouflage. Suzuka learns that her relative intends to kill Kazuki and Shizuki. Suzuka gasps in horror and returns to the mansion to warn her family. She makes it as far as the boiler room. The fire-breathing bug who heard her gasp kills her by causing the boiler to explode. Luckily, Kazuki and Shizuki survive without any injuries. Therefore, Suzuka asks for the corpse god's help to keep the twins safe because her relative still has the intention to kill them. Returning to the present, the servant tells the twins a fire has broken out and to follow him to an exit. He leads the twins to an underground room that Kazuki knows has no outside exit. He assures her that one exists, for he spent 2 years building it as he did everything else. He is about to kill him when suddenly Misaki comes to help them. Misaki tells the twins to leave the mansion. Misaki faces off the fire-breathing bug, but he is weighing much stronger. Unbeknownst to her, the exit has been burned by the flames. Moreover, Misaki is so busy fighting the fire-breathing bug that she doesn't realize she is surrounded by the flames. Facing the dead end, the twins think it is karma for them for causing their sister killed in flame back then. Suddenly, Corpse God arrives and rescues them with his necromancer skill. Corpse God brings the twins outside and hands them over to 2 of the maids watching the conflagration. Corpse God tells them Suzuka is not angry at them and loves them instead. With the twins confirmed safe, Takeru shifts his attention to cleanup. On the other hand, Rosen's nephew-in-law escapes after the fire broke out in Shinoyama's mansion. He speculates that the fire-breathing bug has completed his job. Unexpectedly, he is suddenly stopped and kidnapped by a woman. Returning to the mansion, the fire-breathing bug wonders how the children could survive the fire incident. Corpse God wants to capture the fire-breathing bug immediately. Although he disguised himself by altering his face, Corpse God still can recognize him. Meanwhile, Misaki has returned. Corpse God wants to torture fire-breathing bug but is easily beaten due to running out of mana after rescuing the kids from the fire. As a fire-breathing bug sets the area on fire, lemmings arrive and take the fire-breathing bug away. Elsewhere, Takeru interrogates Rosen's nephew-in-law in the basement. At first, he states that he was forced fire-breathing bug, but Takeru knows that fire-breathing bug in Shinoyama's residence is fake. Takeru immediately gives a lesson to his relative for messing with his family. Elsewhere, Tsubaki and Erase are heading to see Phantom Solitaire. Tsubaki assumes that fire-breathing bug disguised himself and infiltrated to their target's house to carry out their mission. However, Phantom Solitaire comments that the person who uses the mentioned method is the fake bug, because the genuine fire-breathing bug doesn't need to disguise himself and infiltrate, as it would just be a waste of time. Later is seen the fake bug is burned to death, and on an overhead bridge, a girl sings a children's song while carrying an umbrella with fire safety written on it, indicating the girl is the real fire-breathing bug. As he promised Rosen that he would tell him everything, he returned to the annex. Knowing the presence of assassins hidden around the annex, Corpse God asks Rosen to have them leave since he doesn't want his identity to be known by many people. Rosen asks his bodyguard to leave, and after they leave, Corpse God tells Rosen his real identity, and that he comes from the other world. Moreover, he tells Rosen that Polka's soul is fine. Misaki then tells him that she is the person who murdered Polka. Learning this, Rosen immediately draws his katana at her, but the shark plush flings between his katana and Misaki. Seeing that, Rosen reminds him of Polka when he was a child. Rosen incredulously recognizes the plush as Polka and bursts into laughter both at the ridiculous situation and how Polka seems to be enjoying himself. Since Corpse God needs his own vessel before he can return to Polka, his body, Rosen is willing to provide Corpse God with one of the Shinoyama group's robots. Polka calls dibs on being a robot instead, enthusiastically demanding modifications. However, because the real Polka is being targeted by his own family, Rosen asks Corpse God to use Polka's body until the situation returns to normal. Elsewhere, Takeru praises Lemmings for arresting a fake fire-breathing bug and rescuing his family. Lemmings then informs that the ones who saved Kazuki and Shizuki are Misaki and Polka. Hearing that, Takeru asks Lemmings for the details. Outside the damaged manor, Polka informs Kuruya over a call that he had told Rosen the truth. Misaki finally apologizes to Polka for murdering him and thanks him for coming to her defense. Kazuki and Shizuki then run over to thank Misaki and Polka for saving their lives. Polka replies that the credit goes to the fortune teller, Corpse God, and the twins' guardian angel. Corpse God looks back at Suzuka, the guardian angel, hugging the twins. After checking on Polka's pet, Corpse God and Misaki set off to their base. On the other hand, the police have just received news that the fake fire-breathing bug was burned by the real fire-breathing bug. Meanwhile, Phantom Solitaire gets interested in the fire incident in the orphanage and asks Tsubaki for more details. However, Tsubaki refuses to give the details to him because it is a secret. Thus, Phantom Solitaire decides that he will find himself, and he disappears when the light suddenly goes out. Learning that Phantom Solitaire escaped from the jail, the police immediately assemble for an emergency meeting wherein Tsubaki briefs his subordinates on Solitaire's criminal career, which consisted of 3 years' worth of magic tricks and illusions such as stealing paintings from a museum, painting a building in sky color, kidnapping a politician, and ended when Solitaire turned himself in. However, the motive he had was that he wanted proof that real magic exists. He performs his magic tricks, hoping to attract the king, the real supernatural. However, after playing those tricks, the king still has not appeared. Depressed, Phantom Solitaire decided to turn himself in while waiting for the king to come. Hours later, the television shows headline news about Phantom Solitaire who escaped from jail. The news spreads massively, and almost all TV stations broadcast the same feed. Unexpectedly, the news anchor, Phantom Solitaire, removes his glasses and announces that he will resume performing a week from now, so the police ought to take advantage of their grace period. Erase wonders how Solitaire managed to jack the airwaves. Tsubaki says he probably bought airtime from the grocer, who remains as much of a merchant in his cell. Corpse God wonders who he is, and Karuya explains Phantom Solitaire is one of the urban legends in Shinjuku, such as lemmings and fire-breathing bugs. In the past life, there are several creatures that are probably famous, some of which included Piruwizo, a poisonous dragon, and Shragwa. Corpse God thought that dragon exists in this world because as he looks at the book and finds similarities with the elemental spirit. Hashiragi states that the two worlds may be connected since the illustration of dragons and elemental spirits have similar forms. The scene switches to atop a building, where Phantom Solitaire talks to himself that he has found what he is looking for after feeling depressed and locking himself in prison. Just then, Fire-Breathing Bug arrives, responding to Phantom Solitaire's message through the broadcast on TV. At the same time, his phone rings. He picks up the phone and turns out Fire-Breathing Bug is talking back to him. She asks Solitaire how he found her since the Fire-Breathing Bug is a mysterious organization. Before Solitaire can answer her, he is suddenly struck by the flame. Luckily, he manages to draw his card to block the flame. Solitaire comments that a fire-breathing bug is like a fire spirit, which can manipulate and control the fire. The fight happens between the two, and fire-breathing bug has Solitaire cornered. However, he can easily escape and stands on her umbrella without her realizing it. Solitaire comments that it needs a trick to do all these things, including the fire that fire-breathing bug used. However, several days ago, he saw a skeleton in the fire incident, and he believed it was the real magic from the king. Fire-breathing bug states she doesn't care whether it is real magic or a trick, as long as it is a bug, it has to be destroyed. It explains that fire-breathing bug's fire magic and Lemmings and Solitaire's power are merely a trick. It is different from Corpse God's magic. Meanwhile, Sayo and Xiaoyu come to Polka's abandoned building where Polka lives. On the other hand, Phantom Solitaire plays VR games in a game center. Without realizing it, the technology is growing and he is spotted by people who acknowledge him from TV broadcasts and is chased by the police officers. At the same time, Fire-Breathing Bug is keeping an eye on Phantom Solitaire. On the other hand, under Rosen's instruction, Sayo and her attendant Xiaoyu will stay in Corpse God's base for the meantime. It is explained that Sayo's bedroom and shark memorabilia collection were consumed by the estate fire. Xiaoyu plays a video of Rosen Shinoyama asking Polka to take in Sayo and her bodyguard for now because Polka's bedroom was also incinerated and Xiaoyu can keep them safe. Moreover, the police will come to check their residence, and to prevent anything bad, it is better for Sayo to live at Corpse God's base. Corpse God speculates that Sayo might be the person who hired Misaki to kill Polka. The next morning, Xiaoyu prepares breakfast. Misaki then invites Sayo to buy a mattress to sleep on, while Karuya and Corpse God will clean the room. That night, Xiaoyu wakes up and eavesdrops on Karuya and Corpse God's conversation in their room. He assumes that Corpse God is not an ordinary human. It turns out Rosen gave him a mission before heading to Corpse God's base. Xiaoyu was happy, thinking he was assigned to eliminate the fake Polka, but much to his dismay, Rosen assigned him to protect Sayo and the fake Polka. Even so, Xiaoyu still wants to get rid of fake Polka, and at the same time the real Polka. It is revealed that Xiaoyu hates real Polka because he is timid and weak. and thinks that he is better than real Polka to be Rosen's son. Long ago, Shinoyama was an assassin, but unfortunately, he was defeated and badly injured on his first mission. He lost his body parts and was taken to the hospital, dying. His father intended to transform him into Tingfu or poison. For Lei family, humans were no more than useless objects and thought it would be better to make his body into Tingfu rather than die. After that, Rosen came and intended to buy Shinoyama. He told Shinoyama not to think of him as a kind person because he only wanted to make him a test subject in developing a robot or a cyborg. It turns out the robot Rosen offered Corpse God is the robot used by Shinoyama. Also, lemmings may use the same robot to obtain such overwhelming power because the robot is developed by Shinoyama Group. Therefore, to repay Rosen's kindness, Shinoyama dedicates his life to him and he is obsessed with being his son. That is why he hates Polka this much and wants to get rid of him. Returning to the present instead of obtaining important information, Shinoyama only hears they are talking about a dragon called Marufi, which can transform into a handsome man and a beautiful woman. However, when the dragon deceived the royal family, he ended up falling in love with one of the royal generals. Hearing the story about dragons, Shinoyama thinks they are talking about a fantasy game, and the sound of the skull dance he thinks as the dice rolled continuously. Suddenly, Corpse God comments that Shinoyama is a dedicated person as he still stands guard in front of Seo's room at this hour. Shinoyama is shocked to hear that and wonders how he knows she is there. He looks around to check if there is a surveillance camera, but she finds nothing. Elsewhere, after hearing news about the fire incident in Shinoyama's residence, Tsubaki and Erase head to the scene and ask the maids for the details. After that, Takeru comes with his bodyguard. Takeru states that fire-breathing Bug was the person who burned the mansion. Furthermore, he states fire-breathing Bug is the family's enemy. It is seen by several buildings of the Shinoyama group that were burned down in flames. Thus, with the death of fire-breathing Bug, Takeru assumes there won't be a fire incident anymore. Later, he notes that with Phantom Solitaire's breakout, Shinoyama's share will be affected and tells the police to mind their work. After the interrogation procedure finishes, Takeru thinks that if they also investigate Polka's identity, his real identity may be revealed soon. On their way back, Erase comments that Takeru's bodyguards have a similar aura to his. After further investigation, Tsubaki concludes all the incidents recently goes around Polka and Takeru, indicating that they are involved in the recent incidents. The next day, Tsubaki holds a meeting with his unit discussing a teenager called Shinoyama Polka. He recounts the day policemen found him with his neck hurt, and later he befriends Kuruya, the informant, and Misaki, who was always on his side, whose footprints appeared in Human non-incident. He speculates that Lemmings' presence in the bar and Phantom Solitaire's breakout are caused by Shinoyama Polka. In the abandoned building, Polka decides to resume his fortune-telling job. As they are heading there, Tsubaki and Erase come and ask him to read their future. Corpse God then tells Misaki to lead them the way. Tsubaki then tells Corpse God to give him a hint. Corpse God replies he can't give a hint to Phantom Solitaire's whereabouts. At the same time, Shinoyama still intends to eliminate Polka and Corpse God. He intends to report to Tsubaki and Erase if he finds anything suspicious. It is seen that until now, Shinoyama is not aware of Corpse God's identity and that the real Polka is still alive. Kuruya perceives a background search of Tsubaki, and at the same time, Tsubaki has guessed that Corpse God is helped by Kuruya. He suspects Corpse God covers his head to cover the hidden device to communicate with his accomplice. Later, Corpse God states that Tsubaki has a deep wound in the past, surprising both Tsubaki and Erase. Tsubaki tries to remain calm and asks if there is a way to remove it because back then, there was someone who made Tsubaki bear the burden. Suddenly, Hososorbi draws something on a piece of paper. Looking at the paper, Tsubaki is enraged and grabs Corpse God by his collar, asking him why he drew the symbol. Erase quickly gets up and calms his friend. After Tsubaki calms down, he apologizes to Corpse God and gives him the money and the compensation for making his shirt messed up. Before they leave his shop, Corpse God tells them that the one who told Tsubaki is not Polka, but the infamous fortune teller, Corpse God. Shinoyama is interested in Tsubaki's action after seeing the pattern and he intends to investigate the matter. He thinks the picture contains information about Polka's identity. Several years ago, Tsubaki had an accomplice. The man gave him a picture of a symbol. After Tsubaki saw the symbol, his friend immediately burned the paper, telling him not to forget the symbol and forbidding him to tell anyone about the symbol. The symbol was a hint of something he was looking for. Surprisingly, the symbol is related to a ruined empire where Corpse God lived in his previous life. Tsubaki and Erase stop by at a restaurant to have lunch. There, Erase asks Tsubaki what happened in the chamber. Tsubaki says he will tell them after they arrive at Clarissa's bar. At the same time, Shinoyama follows them as he wants to find information about the imposter. Arriving at the bar, Tsubaki asks Clarissa about Polka and that man's involvement. That man is the man who gave him the symbol back then and has disappeared for 5 years. He believes that the organization that can make the man disappear is Clarissa's organization. He speculates that only that man and he know the symbol. The scene switches to Corpse God and Karuya. Karuya is curious about what Corpse God drew that made Tsubaki lose control. Surprisingly, Corpse God doesn't know what Hosoroji drew and notes that all he said is the advice from Hosoroji. Then it can be seen that the mysterious man is Hosoroji. Hosoroji used to be a prosecutor from the police division and at the same time Tsubaki's comrade. Then, Corpse God helps Hosoroji to get rid of guilt in his past life related to Tsubaki, Clarissa, and the symbol. Tsubaki is suspicious of Clarissa because their circles, such as Misaki, Karuya, Polka, and Hosoroji, are around Clarissa. Hearing those names, Xiaoyu Lei wants to investigate all of them. Meanwhile, it is seen that the symbol is related to a dangerous case that made Hosoroji hide himself for 5 years, and he believes that Hosoroji is still alive, while Clarissa has found out about his death for long. The scene then shows a group of men who are attacked by someone. At first, they are happy to learn that Shinoyama's mansion was incarnated. Unexpectedly, their organization also gets the impact. They are attacked by fire-breathing bugs. One man tries to pick up something from a safe box. However, before he can escape, he is struck by the flame and dies. After fire-breathing bug leaves, Phantom Solitaire appears and picks up the rolls. He opens the roll and it shows a symbol similar to what Tsubaki had. However, the symbol is not written on paper, but on human skin. Later, Phantom Solitaire goes to the grocer to buy information about the symbol. The grocer gives him a slight information about the symbol, telling him that every symbol in the world is the simplification of an object. The symbol is similar but unrelated to an insignia used by an old Central Eastern European knight order, and one its diagonal line signifies a sword. He adds that if Phantom Solitaire wants further information, he has to pay with equal stuff. 7 days after Phantom Solitaire warned the police, he comes back and shows the symbol to the entire city using Shinjuku's airspace. Corpse God is shocked to see the symbol and wonders if it is the symbol of a ruined empire in the world where he lived in his past life. It is assumed that Corpse God wasn't reincarnated to another world but far in the future. This also explains why dragons and elemental spirits have the same form. Then it is possible that the hero Shragwa, his master, his relatives, and his enemies still live in the present time. The scene then shows the past time where the master shows Corpse God the latest symbol of Bayandi Empire. Not long after that, a kid shows up and tells them if he ascended the throne, he would use the emblem, considering the current emblem his father made is too plain. Returning to the present, Phantom Solitaire wants to find out more about the symbol. He asks the grocer for the price of the information he seeks. Grocer replies with a staggering sum of 3 trillion, which Grocer has rounded down for Solitaire specifically. The grocer speculates that the symbol will be the medicine to design a bright future for Phantom Solitaire, but it can also be a poison that will ruin him if it is misused. Considering that 3 trillion is not a small amount of money, he cancels the transaction and in exchange he buys some airships. The scene switches to a secret conversation network where its members panic due to a leak of information containing a fire-breathing bug that has attacked Japanese civilians. To overcome the matter, they agree to kill Phantom Solitaire, otherwise the incident 5 years ago will happen again. On the other hand, Tsubaki is surprised that Phantom Solitaire knows the symbol. As he promised to erase, Tsubaki shows Erase what Hosoroji drew. Erase somehow finds the symbol Phantom Solitaire drew is different from what Tsubaki has. Tsubaki assumes that Phantom Solitaire followed Tsubaki when they visited Corpse God, or there was an intruder in the police office. After that, an old woman appears and informs Tsubaki he is asked to go to the head office to discuss the Phantom Solitaire case. As the detectives and the police officers are assigned to look for Phantom Solitaire, unbeknownst to them, Phantom Solitaire is sitting casually on an airspace. Suddenly, 2 mysterious people shoot Phantom Solitaire, but it ends up with only a mannequin. Realizing the gunshots, Phantom Solitaire immediately arranges a broadcast informing that an organization has attempted to kill him after he shows the symbol. Realizing that it is a dangerous symbol, Phantom Solitaire offers a 300 million yen reward to anyone who can provide him with substantial information about it. Elsewhere, Seiya was curious about the phenomenon after Corpse God mentioned the symbol belongs to the Bayandi Empire, the place he lived before he was reincarnated. Corpse God then explains to her what happened to him and his real identity and his power to control the spirit. Furthermore, he also tells her that the real Polka is still alive. Seiya believes it and promises that she won't tell anyone about this, including Xiaoyu Lei. She then takes a bath carrying the little shark plush in her hand. Actually, Corpse God can easily remove her memories using his necromancer skill, but it will make humans experience defects similar to the human knot incident. In a shower room, Misaki joins Sayo and tells her that she is the person who killed Polka. Sayo understands that Misaki wishes for someone to condemn her for what she did. Later, she also tells her that Polka forgave her for murdering him. Sayo notes that no one who likes shark movies is a bad person and thinks Misaki is a kind person. After they finish showering, Karuya tells them that in the shark plush lies the real Polka's soul. Instead of feeling shy, Sayo says she is willing to lend her body to him while she transfers her body into the shark plush. Corpse God notes if someone dares enough to desecrate the emblem of the Binding Empire, he will definitely destroy them even though he has to sacrifice his peaceful life. Karuya asks him if he has analyzed magic to obtain information, which he replies he doesn't. Thus, Karuya gets the title of the analysis sorcerer for helping him in analyzing information of his clients. Apart from that, the skeleton who lives with Corpse God is the soul of someone before Corpse God reincarnated. Misaki asks him if he can summon spirits in his past life. Corpse God replies there are some spirits he could summon and they could talk, but considering his title as the one who brings catastrophe, Corpse God is afraid that they will hate him. Sayo consoles him, saying that they must understand his situation, and suggests that they leave the Binding's emblem matter into Karuya. At the same time, Hosoroji shares information about the symbol. The scene switches to Tsubaki. He arrives at the head office and meets the chief. The chief asks Tsubaki to become the driving force of the organization. Tsubaki says as long as no rock gets in his way, he will accept the task. The chief asks him if the rock Tsubaki means is Hosoroji. Tsubaki denies it and explains the rock he means is someone hiding in the office, indicating an intruder. After talking for a while, the chief tells Tsubaki his real intention. He explains Tsubaki will lead the special task force unit dealing with Phantom Solitaire. Hearing that, Tsubaki happily accepts the offer. The scene switches to Phantom Solitaire, who is asking someone about the updates in the police station. The person says some people try to hijack the police server located in Shinjuku. Phantom Solitaire calls her old woman, and the old woman calls him young master. The next morning, Phantom Solitaire goes to see the fortune teller. On the other hand, Tsubaki briefs the inter-department task force on Solitaire's history and suggests that they will cross paths with Solitaire if they likewise pursue the publicized symbol. When the meeting is over, Erase and Tsubaki enjoy their coffee. Tsubaki says they can't be careless in this case because they don't know who the real enemy is. Just then, two police officers approach Tsubaki and Erase and confront them. They push Tsubaki to the window, and Erase is about to give him a lesson, but is stopped by Tsubaki. Not long after that, two more police officers come and beat them. They are Tozawa Danzo and Ramari Yatsu, Tsubaki's comrades. After everyone gathers, Tsubaki leaves with the Comms 3 unit, while saying that all the incidents involving Lemmings, Fire-Breathing Bug, and the other troublemakers linger on the same point and relate to each other. On the other hand, Karuya and Hosasori still attempt to reveal who used the Binding Empire symbol. From his research, Karuya finds that the symbol implicates an internal case with the police. Most likely, the person who hired the assassin to kill Hosoroji was also a person from the police. Shoei, who still wants to get rid Polka imposter, eavesdrops on their conversation. Shoei assumes they are talking about someone named Hosoroji. Apart from that, Corpse God and his friend will resume the fortune-telling operation. This time, Phantom Solitaire comes to their shop, disguising himself as an office worker. He finds out that the prediction given is just a trick. Before leaving, Phantom Solitaire asks Corpse God about the symbol. Corpse God tells him there is a mistake in the broadcasted symbol since the real symbol doesn't have a horizontal line. Although he knows it is risky to share information about the Binding Empire emblem, Corpse God has principles that he won't ignore errors in the depiction, considering that the person who created the symbol was the king and his close friend. Corpse God then asks Phantom Solitaire if he remembers who uses a wheelchair. Phantom Solitaire replies she may be his guardian spirit. On the other side of the door, Solitaire wonders how the fortune teller could know about her and concludes that he is not a fraud. It turns out Phantom Solitaire deliberately drew the symbol wrongly. On the way back, Phantom Solitaire encounters two girls using the same rain poncho as what Fire-Breathing Bug used. Resuming his investigation, Shoei tries to look for further information about Hosoroji, but ends up in failure. Shoei is disconcerted at the thought that even the Hylia could not trace Hosoroji. At the same time, he hears footsteps on the rooftop. He goes up and finds Phantom Solitaire there. Meanwhile, Phantom Solitaire senses someone's presence and asks Corpse God to show up. Unexpectedly, Shoei comes out from his hiding and he charges Phantom Solitaire to obtain information. He even uses his cyborg real power. Meanwhile, Corpse God dreams of his past life where he sees the symbol of the Binding Empire burned down, and all the soldiers are taken by the dragon. His master says with the Empire destroyed, they are now free from the shackles of the Empire, meaning that the Corpse God, his master, and his friends can live freely. His master also asks Ramelka to save Corpse God's relatives and close friends. Although Corpse God can live freely, he is guilty that he cannot implement his master's teaching. He had failed to protect his small family, and at the same time, he became the world's enemy. When he is depressed, someone approaches him and calls him stupid. He is the king of Baiandi Kingdom and his close friend. Just then, the real Polka wakes Corpse God as he watches a message from fire-breathing bug scorch itself into the wall. When Corpse God checks the message, the phone suddenly rings. The caller is one of the fire-breathing bugs, and he asks Corpse God if he is also a bastard child of Sabermund. Corpse God stiffens as he asks how the caller knows that name. Elsewhere, a Shinoyama employee observes the attack with binoculars in his left hand and reports it to Takeru. Takeru, Lemmings, and the other members decide to join the battle. In the phone conversation, Corpse God asks the caller how he knows Sabermund and asks if he comes from the past and has relations with the kingdom. However, Corpse God hears the debate between the fire-breathing bug 1 and 2. They argue if Corpse God is their enemy or not. Before Corpse God receives the answer, the phone is suddenly hung up as the police approach the second fire-breathing bug. Elsewhere on the rooftop, Phantom Solitaire is fighting against Xiaoyu Lei. Although he seems calm, Phantom Solitaire is a little nervous about seeing Xiaoyu Lei's power. Xiaoyu Lei asks Phantom Solitaire if he is looking for a person named Hozoroji. Phantom Solitaire replies he comes to thank Hozoroji, unbeknownst to Xiaoyu Lei that he is lying to divert his attention, and escapes. Resuming his lies, Phantom Solitaire warns Xiaoyu Lei to leave immediately or something will surprise him. Feeling excited, Xiaoyu Lei decides to keep attacking Phantom Solitaire, but at the same time, Lemmings joins the fight. Both Phantom Solitaire and Xiaoyu Lei are afraid to see Lemmings come. Considering the rules of the Lei family, Xiaoyu Lei is not allowed to touch Lemmings as he is not the one he can defeat. Phantom Solitaire manipulates him, causing him to think that Lemmings is his enemy. Thus, Xiaoyu Lei immediately attempts to attack Lemming, but the attempt ends up in failure since his attacks cannot harm Lemmings. Lemmings approaches Phantom and Xiaoyu Lei realizes that he is not on anyone's side. Lemmings does not fight Xiaoyu Lei back as he is ordered not to attack Shinoyama families, including their bodyguards. On the other hand, Corpse God wonders how information in the past world could be spread in the present world. He will definitely kill whoever tarnished Baiandi's emblem. The scene switches and shows Corpse God's master Isless. He looks at the sea while thinking of something. Ramelka comments he must have thought of his student Corpse God. He is one of 10 the strongest sorcerers in the Baiandi Empire after all. Ramelka notes that Corpse God is a kind person even though he has such an overwhelming power. His master quickly denies and states that Corpse God is kind toward people who treat him well, but he won't hesitate to crush people who dare to insult and harm people he knows, no matter if it means destroying an entire kingdom. On the other hand, Corpse God unleashes sanctuary around the building to monitor the surroundings. The surge of power is so great that it is able to change the atmosphere in the building area. Even the Phantom Solitaire, fire-breathing bug, and Xiaoyu Lei feel the change due to the sanctuary magic. The Corpse God also sees a woman who claims to be looking for a dog in the building area. Not long after that, her father comes looking for her. Learning there is no dog around the area, Corpse God assumes they are involved in this case. He broadens his sanctuary magic to find out more, causing people to notice an unnatural chill in the air. Sanctuary magic is a sacred magic that isolates the area with a surge of magic power. When sanctuary is activated, it will create a terrifying atmosphere like when people are in the middle of a forest, or it could also be a quiet atmosphere like being in a temple or holy place. Despite all that, in order to get more information, Corpse God will obtain information from Lemmings, Phantom Solitaire, and even fire-breathing bugs. On the rooftop, Xiaoyu Lei feels that the atmosphere around him is like sinking at the bottom of the deepest ocean. Not wanting to get involved any further, Phantom Solitaire decides to leave the rooftop, but as he wants to divert the attention, the card thrown at Lemmings is shattered as if it is squeezed by a hand. Phantom Solitaire asks who ruined the card. Strangely, they are all shocked when they saw the phenomenon. It turns out to be sanctuary magic. In order to make sanctuary work maximally, Corpse God decides to continue to the next stage. Feeling the greater danger is coming up, Phantom Solitaire tries everything to run away. At the same time, Corpse God keeps expanding his sacred magic where invisible hands are wrapped with particles that increase its power. Unfortunately, his power is not enough to take down Lemmings. In exchange, he uses the power to capture people around him who seem to have information. Moreover, Corpse God fails to capture Phantom Solitaire as he flies high. However, a girl in a raincoat is caught later and turns out to be one of the fire-breathing bugs. Eventually, people start to notice the magic due to its large-scale power. One of Takeru's subordinates even spotted invisible hands. After arranging the information, Tsubaki believes all the phenomenon centers on Polka or the talented fortune teller. starting from the skeleton that appeared in the fire incident, the human not incident, lemmings, phantom solitaires breakout, and fire-breathing bugs. The scene then shows a secret conversation where they argue about what is going on. Looking at corpse gods' magic, they realize the magic comes from ancient times, precisely the forbidden magic from a necromancer. They note that magic is a power from their ancestors they haven't mastered yet. Therefore, they agree to find corpse god no matter how. Switching to a mysterious building, a girl states that things are getting more exciting. As they witness corpse god's power, a woman smiles, showing her fangs, indicating the woman is from the vampire clan. This is the end of Dead Mount Dead Play. Thank you to keep watching the content from this channel. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can keep you updated with our latest contents. See you in the next video.